Hello folks, welcome to Board Game Corner. I'm Mark.
And I'm Randy.
This week we're taking a look at Zombicide Black Plague. We're in medieval times. We're using swords and sorcery to take on vile zombies.
Zombicide Black Plague and the Wulfsburg expansion are brought to you by Cool Mini or Not Games and Guillotine Games. The base game of Black Plague plays 1 to 6 players, ages 14 and up, and games range from 1 hour to maybe 2 or 3 hours depending upon the mission you're on and the number of players you're playing. The Wulfsburg expansion extends the number of players that can play the game to 10.
Great. Well, grab your swords and your scrolls and let's go fight some zombies. Death, injustice, plague, and war are common things these days, but nothing prepared us for zombies. They emerged from the deep forest, through the mists, themselves pawns for the necromancers, who pointed their fingers at villagers and farmholds, designating their prey. The zombies swarmed all around us, biting, ripping, tearing the people to pieces, and we could do little but watch, horrified, as our dead friends rose as yet more zombies. Zombicide Black Plague is a cooperative game where 1 to 6 players face hordes of zombies controlled by the game itself. Each player controls 1 to 6 survivors in a fantasy world invaded by yet more zombies. The goal is simply to complete the quest objectives, survive, and kill as many zombies as possible. First, you will pick a quest. There are 10 quests in the base game, and the Wulfsburg expansion contains an additional 10 quests. Between the two, there are 11 double-sided tiles that build out the play area. A note on the tiles: they do tend to warp a bit, but just give them a little tweak or put some weight on them overnight to flatten them out. Each quest gives you the win-lose conditions, along with a helpful setup guide. So, as to not spoil the quest and story for you, we've set up a non-quest example of the board and components. Quest objectives are designated by an X. Standard doors are red, but some colored doors may require keys. These are zombie spawn points, vaults, and vault doors. And finally, your survivors are placed on the starting area. Each quest has a unique setup. Your character and starting equipment is selected and placed on your player boards. These boards have spots for the weapons, armor, and shields. Your backpacks can carry additional items as well. There are markers for your health, skill level, and convenient sliders showing your current experience level. The levels are color-coded and align with the survivor's skill set. These player boards are simply fantastic. It really helps to draw you into your character, and in my opinion is the best player boards I've ever used in a board game. This overview will cover the basic actions you can take on your turn, and we will take a look at how the zombies activate. Plus, we will take a closer look at some of the zombies and heroes. On your survivor's turn, you can do 3 of the following actions. Move your survivor. You simply move 1 zone, and many of these zones vary in size. You could spend all your action points moving 3 zones if you wish. Searching is a critical element to finding more powerful equipment. A search can only be performed in a building zone, as long as there are no zombies in that zone. It allows you to draw 1 card from the equipment deck. Searching is critical to the mission's success. However, you can only search once per turn. A torch and dragon bile is and should be highly sought after, as it is your primary way to eliminate the zombie abominations. Doors. When opening a door, a melee weapon is required, but beware. It will make noise and draw zombies to you. And if this is the first time the building has been opened, then zombies are spawned in each room or zone of the building. You reorganize or trade with another hero. You perform this action on your character board. You can move items around to and from your backpack, and you can give items to fellow survivors, in your same zone, that is. Combat actions, these range from magic scrolls to bows, crossbows, to swords, daggers, and axes. Lots of equipment giving you ways to stop the oncoming horde of zombies. All these cards are easy to read with clear instructions on how to use them. Across the bottom, it shows the weapon range, how many dice to roll, what your dice roll must be or higher in order to hit a zombie, and how much damage the weapon can dish out. One of the updates to the system is how ranged attacks work. Now, if you fire into a group of zombies with friendlies present, there is still a chance of friendly fire, but only if you miss the zombies. So it is a bit of a gamble, but thematically it works really well. Enchantment actions have a wide range of abilities, such as invisibility. Again, all of these cards are easy to read with clear instructions. You can take or activate an objective. Depending on the quest, these objectives have varying results. Make noise. Yes, that's a viable action, a great distraction technique, which sadly seems to escape most characters in many popular TV shows and movies. But it's a great way to draw zombies to specific zones. And lastly, you can simply choose to do nothing. And now, the zombies activate. All zombies spend one action doing one of these two things. One, if a zombie is in a zone with a survivor, he will attack. If the survivor has armor, he can try and defend. However, zombie abominations penetrate armor. There is no defense. Well, there might be a special item or two that changes that rule, but in general, this is the case. 2. Any zombies who don't have survivors to attack move towards sound or survivors in their line of sight. And each zombie type has some different movement, but in general, the main zombies move one zone. Wolves move 3, while runners move 2. After the zombies have activated, more zombies spawn. Yes, more. I did say more. Drawing zombie cards for all spawn zones, moving clockwise around the board. The survivors' experience levels also show the current danger level. To determine which zombies to spawn, the highest danger level among the active survivors is used. And if you run out of zombies of a specific type, then that zombie group receives an additional activation. So let's take a quick look at some of these zombie figures. As always, Cool Mini or Not does a fantastic job with their minis. We have standard walkers, male and female, fatties, runners, abominations, wolves and the wolf abomination, and finally, the mastermind behind the zombie invasion, the dreaded necromancer. And of course, he comes with his own setup of special rules, so beware. We also just picked up some new abomination figures. Why? Because, we just love the challenge. Bigger and badder. The blob, the minotaur, and the troll. And as far as heroes go, there are so many possibilities in the main set and the Wulfsburg expansion. All the heroes have so many different skill sets and combos of skill sets. It should keep you coming back time and time again. And of course, there are always more heroes on the way. So beware what lurks around the corner. All right, what do we think of this game? I love this game so much. It's right up my alley, right? Heavy themed. And even though it's the zombie theme that is probably overused.
It is overused.
This one is great because it's all in swords and sorcery and magic and just amazing weapons. And every time you play, you're searching, you're finding new items and gear to equip to your character. And oh my gosh, the best player boards ever.
Absolutely.
Oh my, it's so incredible. Just how things position in that, and how your backpack, how you fill that up and the cards are standing up and you can easily thumb through them in your backpack as if you're actually looking in your backpack for things.
Cool Mini or Not Games is known for their excellent figures. There's no question about that. But the introduction of these player boards where everything just fits in there very smoothly and you can keep track of the number of kills you've made or the number of points you've accumulated with the slider, but a slider that doesn't just slide willy-nilly across the board but actually stays in place. That's part of the reason I gave it such high marks for components. The artwork's excellent. I think the only complaint I had about anything in the game was that some places on the board
that's right.
They kind of fade to white on some of the cobblestones.
It seems a little ambiguous on the square, but I feel like in each game, if you cooperatively decide, yes, that's a square.
Yeah, that's not a big deal. Otherwise, the artwork's excellent on both the board and the cards, and as we said, the player mat's excellent, and of course, as always with Cool Mini or Not, the figures are top-notch.
Right. And what's a little surprise for me is that I played the original Zombicide, and it didn't really grab me. But this one, oh my gosh, it fires on all symbols. It's so engaging, so fun, perfect cooperative game where everyone is engaged through the whole game.
They are.
And great conversations are going on. Everyone is taking their turns, and you're very collaborative, where you're like, if I take out this door, you go in here and you get the zombies on your turn, and we can trade back and forth. And you have to be very mindful of your track, because cooperatively you need to work that out so everybody is getting to an equal point,
right,
with points, to try to not scale the zombies so fast that it's out of control.
Yeah,
right?
and that's one of the big things that make this game somewhat unique, is the fact that it's imperative that you don't go off on your own. Now, this is a cooperative game, as we know.
Truly.
And it does suffer a tiny bit from the decision by committee, but I honestly don't feel like it does as much as a lot of other games.
Right. And it depends on who you're playing with, too. I suppose it could easily go off on those rails, depending on who's in your group.
True. But you want a group who are prone to discussion and collaboration, things like that. But what Mark was bringing up, the fact it's imperative that you work to stay at the same levels, because if you go off on your own and suddenly you're at 4th level and everyone else is 1, well, it's a pretty sure bet that you'll be there on your own being eaten by wolves at the end.
Exactly. And that's another thing, the expansion for Wulfsburg, right? Bringing those wolves in ramps up the danger level considerably, because they move so fast.
Yep.
And they just, when you get like 3 of them, and if you're only 1 space away, they get so many attacks on you.
If you just have the base game so far, the runners were great because they move really fast. But the wolves accelerated even more, and the wolf abomination, or wolf abomination, I guess is what it's called, is even more of a terrifying creature because of that.
By far.
Yeah.
And I would go as far as to say that the base game is great, right, on its own, but the game really shines when you add in Wulfsburg.
I would agree with that.
I think, and then I'm sure, we haven't been playing with any of the Kickstarter exclusives, right, because we just have what you can get off the shelf. Now, I'm sure some of those exclusives are pretty cool from what I've seen, and the collector in me wants to get everything because I love this game. But we've just been playing with what you can just purchase off the shelf. And really, if you should get both, because Wulfsburg adds so much more fun to the game, I feel like.
I think it's more intensity.
More intensity.
More speed. More of a dire situation.
More of a dire situation. I like that, exactly. And can't recommend it enough. So I'm going to give this game a solid 4.0 out of 4 corners.
I knew you would.
I would give it a 5 if I was there still, or 10,
It's got so many great things going for it. I'm just a little bit lower. I'm at 3.5.
Nice. Wow, okay. That's a lot, because you don't like the zombie theme.
I don't like zombie themes, and just for people to know out there, this gets a little bit of more preference for me, because unlike the other zombie movies and TV shows and games, the zombies aren't virus created, which is so lame. Zombies need to be supernatural, and there's a necromancer in this game
that brings them in,
which provides a perfect rationale for the theme, and it also, unfortunately for the players, provides an excuse for when a zombie creature can go towards this direction or this direction, because there's one player equal distance. That supernatural power allows the creature to divide into two.
And that's how you have to describe it too, because I was just going to say that's the only thematic thing that bugs me about this game, is that zombies split.
But that's supernatural.
It's supernatural, right? No, it does fit. It's just a weird rule, I feel like.
It is a very weird rule, but it's interesting, and you actually have to plan ahead.
It ramps things up.
It does, absolutely.
And you have to coordinate and be careful that you don't get to a situation where that's happening every turn.
You have to think ahead.
You just forget it at that point.
Yeah. So it does have a lot of balance, a lot of excitement. You might be asking, hey, Randy and Mark, we already have things like Ravenloft, the D&D games, which are great games.
Great.
Ravenloft and Ashardalon and Drist. We already have Zombie 15. Why would we buy yet another zombie game?
Right.
And I would say, well, why are you buying zombie games to begin with? No. This is a cooperative game, and I think the thing that differentiates it from the others is that, unlike Zombie 15, where it's timed, and I don't think you get to really enjoy the theme as much. You don't get to enjoy the combat.
Whipping through, which we do enjoy that game.
We do enjoy that, but this you can savor, I think, a little bit more. And as far as the D&D games, those are fun as well. They tend to be torturous experiences that build a character.
God, especially the original.
The Ravenloft is the worst of all. It's still a good game. This, the Zombicide, Black Plague, and Wulfsburg, I think have the advantage that you can savor the games, you can kind of enjoy it. As we said, it's very collaborative, prone to discussion. But here's the key thing. These are combat games. All the games we've talked about are combat games.
Right.
But you're getting awesome stuff.
Yes.
And if you're going to win...
Equipment is generally really awesome.
Right.
I mean, there's some duds, but in general, you're getting great stuff.
And you have to search. You absolutely have to search, because...
Searching is number one key in this game.
You can't kill the abominations unless you get the right weapons. And there's multiple opportunities. It's not like you're looking for one thing.
Right.
But searching is imperative, if you can, on every single turn, so that you can get the right equipment to kill the monsters. Now, the neat thing is there are different combinations. You can go, well, I don't have a torch to set fire to the bile, but I've got this neat flaming sword, and that does it. So
So there's some neat things there. And I know with the Kickstarter exclusives, there are some creatures or not creatures, but heroes that allow for easier, who have like super strength and such, that allow a little more ease for the heroes to attack those abominations.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
So we've had a rougher time of it.
We've had a rougher time of it, yeah. And we've started to pick up some of those extras, none of the exclusives, but some of the that are coming out, which are great. So there's so many different heroes to try. That's another thing I love about this game. Every time you feel even though, so some of the quests can seem a little bit samey, but there's a continuing story thread throughout. So it really is neat to play one through the end. But because typically it is like you're going to go to point A to point B, point C, escape, or something along those lines. But there's some neat things thrown in where you're trying to get the special equipment, find the right key for the door, those things. So that can feel a little bit samey, but not to the point where you're like, bored.
Oh, right.
Nothing like that.
The other night we played a game or a mission where you didn't all have to survive to win. And the turn before the very last, before the winning throw, the wolves come and attack Mark and he dies. But the rest of us got what we needed to and escaped. So anyway, so they, like you said, the mission criteria vary depending upon the mission you're on.
Definitely.
And I haven't felt like it's samey. In fact, I really want to give them kudos. I know of very few games that play with 6 players so fluidly.
Right, so fluidly.
Yeah.
And everybody feels engaged all the time.
Right, right.
Which is great.
Yeah, because you are planning. Every time you do a move, you're going, wow, you didn't kill that creature.
Right.
I'm going to have to come over and rescue you or something like that.
Yep. And I love seeing how the different powers interact with the different weapons, how you can do the two-handed items and especially with some of the spells, like Fireball, you're just suddenly throwing tons of fireballs into a space.
Yeah.
And what you have to be careful, right, because you can hit your
friendly fire.
So those are some neat things, too. But the game just sucks me in immediately. From the first play, even just doing the basic learning game, I was immediately sucked in. Again, obviously this is right up my alley because it's super high in the theme category.
Yeah.
So I can't recommend it enough.
It's a great game. The only caution I have is that when it says 1 hour on the box,
it's so greatly varied.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, it's not like it's a ponderous 2 hours that you're going to experience.
No.
But the games, in our experience, have taken a couple hours and sometimes a little bit more. So, but it can be a very fun evening for a group of 6 players. And as Mark explained earlier in the overview, you're playing multiple characters, even if it's just you and a friend of yours, and you're each playing 3 characters. It does give you lots of opportunities to try out the different heroes.
Right, which is really fun.
Yeah.
And with them releasing more and more heroes, or survivors, they call them, is there's more opportunity to do really neat things. Like I said, there are so many weapons and different combinations to try that it'll be a long time before you just feel like, oh, I've done that before.
Right.
So you really need to check this one out. I can't stress that enough.
Now, this took top notch in your list of things above something else that used to be your favorite?
I'd say even above like Star Wars Rebellion, I like this game.
Now, Star Wars Rebellion is a great game. We're going to be reviewing that real soon.
Yeah, but this currently is easily in my top 5 games because I just can't wait to play every time. I just can't wait to play it again.
So, as you guessed, Mark is very enthusiastic about the game, just in case you didn't figure that out.
Right.
Okay, so... But I'm a little bit more reserved, but I still really enjoy it a lot. And whenever Mark plays it or has his family playing it, I'm hoping they'll invite me.
Oh, you bet. And we'll be playing it many more times. And again, the collector in me, I just want all of it. So, anyway, well, folks, thanks for joining us this week. Hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, we'll see you at the table.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.